Welcome back from spring break, Project Impact Scholars. This is Rob here. We're into our third week of our career growth modules that we're providing online in lieu of having our in-person workshops. Hope that you did get some rest during the break and that you're finding a way to get back on track with these online courses, and that those of you that have clinical experiences that you're able to do virtually, that you're still chipping away at those hours, and understanding that many of you are currently unable to get some of your clinical experiences, and just working with your faculty members to come up with a plan for doing that over the summer. We'll all get back on schedule, but these next few weeks, it's definitely all about doing well academically. But again, so many of you are in this for your career growth and transitioning into that new industry. So these modules are here for you each week just to kind of give you that reassurance that you're on the right track. So I'm joined today by Veronica Seck. Veronica, say hi.
Hi, I'm excited to be here.
Thanks for being here. Veronica is the new program director for our community healthcare worker program, which is one of our Project Impact programs. So today what we'll do is do a demo of what it would be like for a student to go to a professor to ask for them to be a reference to list on their resume, and then also a reference to list on one of those sites when you put an application through that says, here's somebody who an employer, can call that can validate your skills and who you are as a person. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to become a student and start asking Professor Seck what it would be like for me to ask a reference. So to give you an idea of the setting here, we're doing this just like you could do through Zoom. So I have scheduled an appointment to meet with Professor Seck through her virtual office hours, and that's what this is. Okay. So hi, Professor Seck. Thank you for taking the time to speak with me today.
Of course, Rob. These office hours are here for that exact. Oh. Sorry, I didn't know if there was background noise. Of course, Rob, these office hours are here for that exact conversation.
Yeah, and I'm just getting a little bit anxious with the the end of the semester coming up. This is our first day back from spring break, and I just want to make sure that I'm on the right track here.
Yeah. Well, tell me a little bit about what's got you worried about your clinical hours, or is it your final exam? We can talk that through.
It's both and all. It's that and about getting a job after I'm done with the certificate.
Okay. Well, why don't we start with your coursework? Did you get a chance to review your feedback from the midterm?
Yeah, and thank you so much for that, because that one-on-one conversation that we had was so great. I didn't get the grade that I wanted to have, and honestly, the grade that I was expecting to have. But the notes that I took during our conversation were just so helpful for me to focus. What it is that I can do to better understand that material so that I'm prepared for the final. So thank you so much. I did mean to have the file up to share it now. I just apologize I don't. But thank you for taking the time to review that with me.
Of course. I'm so glad we went over that. I'm always willing to meet with students to really talk through about their scores and see where they can improve. I get the sense that some are concerned and will be feel like they're gonna be made to think that they don't understand the material, but it's honestly the opposite. Students come in here like you did, and you took this opportunity, and I can give you some feedback that there just isn't enough time for in a full class. So I'm always more than happy to meet with you to help you prepare so you can succeed on your final.
Yeah, thank you so much again, Professor Seck, for doing that. I will admit though that this move online has taken up 100% of my mind that I do currently have for school, and just I consider that I also just have gone through a job transition because my previous work has furloughed people, and I ended up taking one of those gig economy jobs where I'm working for Uber Works, so the schedule for that's a little bit less flexible than my previous job because it's new. So because of that, I've just been, what I do have for school is just focused on these online classes, and I haven't really had the time to think about the final exam yet. And we going through the midterm has been so helpful, but truthfully, I'm honestly kind of dreading starting to study for this final exam.
Yeah, I mean, I completely hear you. There's a lot of change that you've had to navigate over the last few weeks. And honestly, I've struggled with that change too. And I really appreciate your patience with me learning some of this online technology last minute. And because of your feedback, I think I'll turn one of these Zoom sessions into a final exam prep so that you guys can all feel a bit more prepared and utilize that opportunity for that. So thank you so much for helping me realize that could be a priority.
That's so great to hear. I think that some of the other students that I've had the chance to talk to, and we do still we've actually started meeting on Zoom to study for quizzes and whatnot. So this has actually been really helpful for you and other faculty members doing this online for that. I speaking of online, just wondering if there's been an update on field experience hours and how we're supposed to complete those.
Yeah, actually, I have the spreadsheet right here, so I can go over that with you. I realize that not everyone's sites turn into remote experiences, and unfortunately, yours didn't either. But we have a whole list that we can work off of. So let me just share my screen here. I can go over that quickly with you. All right, can you see that?
I can. Thanks.
Great. All right, so this is the document that you have access to. It's the Field Experience Opportunities document,
Hmm?
and it's put into different sections. The type of opportunity, you can watch webinars, do trainings. We even have a list of projects and volunteering experiences you can do to earn hours. Right here is the hours section, which is nice because you can see how much time you need to commit to that. I highlighted in green all the ones that are a little bit more hours, so you can get those done in a chunk instead of worrying about a ton of different ones. So for example, this is disaster preparedness training. So you can read about it, and then it'll give you, there's a little link here for you to be able to register. Anytime you kind of wonder how do you register anything, since all these webinars and everything are different, just feel free to reach out to me or your clinical coordinator to ask, and we can help you navigate that, because we do understand these are on all different kinds of platforms.
That's awesome. There's so much there. I'm going to definitely look through it. I saw the email, but I think that it helps that we've just had this conversation now to remind me to take a look at it. Now that I know what it looks like, I definitely want to. I will say that I'm definitely bummed out because when we initially had come up with our field experience sites, I was able to find one that was really close to why I chose the community healthcare worker field, why I wanted to pursue the certificate. I'm just personally really passionate about supporting returning citizens, and I have seen in my community a gap in the support for those individuals, and especially for their access of healthcare. So I just don't know if there's any way that I might be able to find a project that aligns with that still.
Yeah. You know what? That's something we definitely thought about a lot, because we we were, we were saddened by the fact that you guys are losing out on these opportunities to network and work with these organizations, and on this work that you're so passionate about. That's why we created some of these projects that you can do, and then leverage those projects as a way to then talk to the organization. Have you thought about putting together maybe a flyer so you can share with returning citizens?
I've
Um,
never made something like that before. I don't think that I'm that artistic.
Well, honestly, you don't have to be artistic at all. If you just kind of write down all the information that you feel would be really helpful with them, we can talk about how you can turn it into a nice template so it's readable, and works really well for the audience. Really, you just need passion and an understanding for the information to make a flyer, and you don't have to be an artist.
Yeah, and yeah, I'll definitely give it a shot. Is there any way that we might be able to meet to kind of go over, a first draft of it or an outline, something like that, maybe through like a Zoom? These have been helpful for me.
Yeah, definitely. How about you send it to me in a couple days, then I have some time to review it, and then we can set up a call.
Okay, I definitely love it. Thank you. I think that I can do a mix of what you shared on that spreadsheet, but then I think personally that this will help me to some motivation to do some of this work, especially when I'm in that kind of weird period between I'm not in class, I'm not in work, but I'm just kind of in a fog. So I think that's great because it's going to help me to say like, okay, this is going to directly correlate to some of the work that I'm going to be trying to do after completing this, which I must say that this whole conversation super helpful for me academically, and it's so important that I do all that. I will admit though that my real reason for coming in to talk to you right now is that I have a concern about getting a job after I finish my certificate. I've seen that there's a lot of unemployment that's going on right now, and do you think that there will be jobs for me to apply to after I complete?
Yeah, and your concerns are so valid because you keep seeing in the news everyone's losing their jobs. But as far as jobs in healthcare, they're always necessary in any economy. So you're gonna be able to find jobs that fit what you're looking for, even after you complete the certificate, and probably now more than ever.
Okay, yeah. I've looked at a lot of jobs online. I've actually looked on LinkedIn. There was a great way of doing it just for Chicago entry level community healthcare worker jobs. Um, there's each one's looking though for multiple professional references, and I was wondering if you might be willing to be one of those references. I have had a lot of employers in the past. I just don't feel that all of them know me the way that you do. So is it possible for me to list you as a reference?
Rob, I'd be happy to be your reference. You have been so proactive this semester in trying to do better. And I also really appreciate your openness as to why you decided to become a community health worker and even how you've helped me to better help the students.
Thank you so much, Professor Seg. Is there a way that you might, through the chat here, just send me your contact info?
How about I email it to you? That way you always have a way of looking it up.
Okay. Is it possible for you to send it to my personal email? I've heard that my student one goes away after I'm not enrolled.
Yeah, send me an email from that email address so I have it and I'll reply.
Okay. I had drafted something up. Let me just do a quick bring it up here. Okay. So here's the email that I had planned to send to you. I'm just kind of going over what we had talked about. I was taking notes during this call. So I'll just send this to you, and then we can use that as a guide moving forward. Is that okay?
Yeah, that sounds great. Honestly, reach out to me anytime you hear back from an employer after an interview. That'll give me a chance to kind of check out the company and have some words to say when they give me a call for a reference. And then I'll be able to better highlight your strengths that are relevant to their mission. All right.
Thank you so much, Professor Sek. You are the best.
You're welcome.
Okay. So Project Impact Scholars, that is an example of what one of these reference request phone calls can look like right now. So to schedule a Zoom call, oftentimes your faculty members have office hours that you can just chip into for the time that they already have, but then they're likely also very willing to adjust based upon your availability. So just to summarize here some of these reference ask tips that you saw during this call. So the first is don't start off by just asking for the reference. Revisit some previous conversations and experiences that you had with your faculty member. What that will do is it'll help that person remember your interactions so that um, you know they feel comfortable in being able to express what your growths and strengths are so that they connect with why it is that they might be a good reference for you. Specifically state why you feel the person would be a good reference for you. That's going to show that you are appreciative of their feedback that they have given you during their interactions with you. Follow up immediately after the ask with an email summarizing your conversation and thanking them for being a reference. This is both just a good way of reminding that person that you are prompt, but it's also a great thing. It's a great tool to revisit for that individual and for you for once a reference ask might come up. So they can literally use that email as a cheat sheet while they're on a call to tell that employer what it was that impressed them about you. And then finally, here's something that we haven't discussed yet. Plan to meet with your reference at least once per year in a one-on-one setting. It can be something like buying a cup of coffee in the morning once we're allowed to do that. Taking them to a cheap baseball game. You can find something for $10, or just grabbing lunch near each other's offices. So, in an hour or so, and the idea of this is not necessarily to have there be any ask made. This is just you and them connecting to, essentially remind them of who you are, so that you're not having what I call a stale reference, somebody from 3 years ago trying to remember what you were like when somebody calls checking on that reference. So where we're at now within our career growth modules, we're chipping away at these boxes. We're getting there, and we're going to have all of them complete by the end of the semester. So we've gone through and we were talking about networking, because when you're talking to a faculty member and making this ask, it isn't just a now thing. You are including this person in your network for years to come moving forward. Remember, it might not just be this upcoming job that they're going to be a reference for. It can be future jobs as well. And we're also talking about resume development, because your resume, last section oftentimes, and all of them are references. So some immediate action items you can take: attend your faculty members' virtual office hours, schedule some time, even if it's not to make the reference ask yet. A lot of the conversation that Veronica and I had today was about previous interactions that we had. Plant the seed, have that interaction, and realistically, you might not know yet if that person is the reference that you want to ask. But that's the kind of interaction that helps you to understand that that person does get you, because that's a great one-on-one setting for you guys to have a conversation to get to know each other better. Email or call a former supervisor, coworker, or collaborator. Keep those relationships fresh. You never know what that person is doing now, but also, again, that person then can be reminded of who you are. And then finally, ask to sit down with coffee, whatever else it might be that we're allowed to do, once it starts back up, with each one of these references, at least on an annual basis. So next week, we're going to be going through and we're going to be building LinkedIn profiles. We're going to be joined by Aaron from our Career Services unit, and we're going to go through exactly what a LinkedIn profile should have on it, so that it can be your online resume, so that you can start looking for jobs, and when you apply to one and somebody Googles you, they see who you want them to see. They see the skills that you have, they see those transferable skills from past jobs, and they then say, yes, this is the person I want to schedule an interview with. So that's our module for today. Again, thank you so much for joining us, Veronica. I appreciate your time, and I hope that everybody has a nice transition back to the second half here of the spring 2020 semester. Talk to you all soon.